Hello, sports fans, and welcome to Sports with Eric Hicks as free agency turns. It was a crazy day one in free agency as the most teams with the most cap spaces were expected to cash in on the players available in free agency. The number one team that cashed in on free agency was the Miami Dolphins. Let's look at what the Dolphins did in free agency. Okay, we have the Miami Dolphins snagging three players. The number one player that was most talked about with the Miami Dolphins was wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Wallace, who signed a 5-year deal worth $60 million. Another player, as I once said before, that had the twist of free agency, linebacker Danielle Ellaby. He was supposed to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. As the Baltimore Ravens were coming down to sit down to finally get into contract negotiations with him, he figured out the market value that he was worth. He didn't sign with them, so he turned over to the Miami Dolphins. Another player that the Dolphins signed was former Raiders linebacker Philip Wheeler. He played for the Oakland Raiders, and he was their linebacker last season. So with this pickup, the Dolphins have definitely signed more than enough players, especially on defense. The big offensive pickup was Mike Wallace. So I think the Dolphins right now are just getting started. They have made a good adjustment with getting a Pro Bowl type wide receiver in Mike Wallace. So look for the Dolphins to be more active in free agency as day two of free agency continues. Another team that I'm going to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. We've been hearing a lot from SportsCenter, ESPN, NFL Network about who the Browns were going to pick up in free agency. Well, they didn't disappoint as they got their man, outside linebacker Paul Kruger, who signed a 5-year deal worth $40 million. Now, you know Paul Kruger, who played for the Baltimore Ravens. He led the Baltimore Ravens with 9 sacks last season and was a big help on defense, especially in the Super Bowl. Another defensive player that they got was defensive tackle Desmond Bryant, who signed a 5-year deal worth $34 million. Last season, Desmond Bryant played for the Oakland Raiders. He also got in a little bit of trouble this offseason. He went to jail for, I think, disturbing the peace or something that I read in one of the articles with the Bleacher Report. But they did sign him to a big contract. So the Cleveland Browns are loading up on defense early. Right now, these are the first 2 players that they have picked, and this is only day one of free agency. So we're going to see what day 2 brings. There has been talk about the Cleveland Browns have been interested in New England Patriots quarterback. And that New England quarterback that I'm talking about is Ryan Mallett, for those who don't know. Let's look at the next team, the Philadelphia Eagles. They snagged former 49ers defensive tackle Isaac Sopaenga, cornerback Bradley Fletcher from the Rams, safety Patrick Chung. Now this one's pretty interesting with Patrick Chung. He was the former safety for the New England Patriots, but before he got with the Patriots and was drafted by them, he went to college at Oregon where former coach Chip Kelly was. So he's actually reuniting with Coach Chip Kelly. So you can expect some great play out of Patrick Chung. He's a great top safety. So look for the Eagles to, do pretty well on defense. They also got tight end James Casey from the Texans. So I think these are some good free agents that the Philadelphia Eagles picked up, especially after releasing Nnamdi Asomugha today. So they do have some help with corner with Bradley Fletcher. They get him probably for a cheaper deal than Nnamdi Asomugha would have come. So I think that's a good look for the Philadelphia Eagles. Another team is the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, Kansas City has been very active in free agency and especially picking up different sort of players. With the trade from the 49ers to get Alex Smith was a great deal. Now they have a quarterback. They also have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. We don't know what they're going to do with that, but with the weapons and the talent that they have on the Chiefs roster, plus the number 1 pick in the draft, I say the Chiefs are going to be really competitive this season, especially in the AFC West. Let's look at the players that they had. They got former defensive tackle from the Jets, Mike DeVito. He signed a 3-year deal worth $12.6 million. They also grabbed Chase McDaniel from the Saints, tight end Anthony Fasano, and quarterback Dante Robinson. He also played for the Falcons. He got a 3-year deal worth $15 million. And now we're going to look at the Chicago Bears. The biggest steal for the Chicago Bears, I would say, would be Jerome Bushrod, offensive tackle. Number one reason why I say that is because Jake Cutler has, had problems in Chicago over the last couple of seasons with not being able to stay off his back. Yes, he has been hit numerous of times. When the offensive coordinator Mike March was there to put in a new system, he was getting hit more and more, and then they went with Mike Tice and his offense, and he kind of limited some of the sacks, but Cutler was still getting hit. So I think the offensive tackle position with Bushrod is going to be an improvement in the offensive line for the Chicago Bears. So look for some sort of improvements with Jay Cutler being protected more. So those were the free agents. Those were the teams that actually did something that were pretty aggressive into free agency. And speaking of certain free agents, I'm going to show you a list of the free agents that are still available right now while we're entering day 2 for NFL free agency. Number 1 on my board, I would say, is Greg Jennings, wide receiver. The teams that are interested in him that I've seen on NFL.com would be the Vikings, Packers, Browns, and Colts. Of those 3 teams, I would say that it would probably be between the Vikings, who need some help after trading away Percy Harvin. The Packers would probably try to get him back, but I don't think they're just going to give Greg Jennings just a mega big deal. After all, they're going to be looking at Aaron Rodgers, this season, after this season's over, probably trying to restructure his contract and get him a new deal. But I would say one of the sleepers would have to be the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have already been active into free agency, signing 2 defensive players. So let's look for the offense. Let's see if the Cleveland Browns will get Greg Jennings to beef up that offense with quarterback Brandon Wheaton to get him a new toy. Also, I had Reggie Bush as one of my top free agents for the running back position, but I just saw on NFL Network that Reggie Bush will be headed to the Detroit Lions. He also met with them earlier today. So he will be a Detroit Lion, and I think that's going to be a good look for Reggie Bush. The Lions have had trouble over the last couple of seasons with getting a running back that could stay healthy and that could complement the offense with, Megatron being there and, trying to get the passing game going as far as having the running game with, having your quarterback is Stafford and getting a good running game so you can have a balanced offense. So that's going to be a good look for Reggie Bush. He's an all-down back. He can not only run the football, he can also catch it. So he's a pretty versatile back. Another piece, Jake Long. You can just take a look at all of these different free agents on this list. Another one that I really want to talk about is Charles Woodson. He is supposed to visit the 49ers tomorrow. The Seattle Seahawks have, shown interest, the Giants, Jets, and Dolphins. But I think the 49ers would be an ultimate fit since they have Anquan Bolden. They have a pretty young defense, and they need veteran leadership. Charles Woodson, former Defensive Player of the Year. He's won the Super Bowl. He's, pretty much a first ballot Hall of Famer. So look for that. Look for the 49ers to hopefully get Charles Woodson, and if they do, they would be a huge threat in the NFC, and they would possibly be my favorite to return to the Super Bowl. So we will just have to wait and see. And that is going to do it for Sports with Eric Hicks. Follow me on Twitter at EHicks23. If you have any comments on YouTube, post them. Let me know what free agents out there I maybe might have missed, or let me know what free agents that you guys have your eyes on. But hit me up and let me know. Until next time, I'm Eric Hicks reporting on the sports and bringing you the sports that you love. So I see you when I see you.